When you go to Walther today, there's a reverence for Fritz Walther. Of course, Carl Walther started the company, but it was Fritz that really made it with his handgun designs. He started off with small guns in .25, but eventually he got to the Model 4, chambered in .32.
Walther was founded in the latter part of the 19th century really as a sporting rifle manufacturer. And that's all the company did until the early 20th century. And at that time, the concept of the semi-automatic pocket pistol starts to come into being. But Carl Walther isn't really paying attention to the pocket pistol market. He doesn't do anything in that realm. It's his son Fritz that notices what's going on, and he gets his hands on a couple of modern pocket pistols, and he goes through them and takes them apart, and he's fascinated by this, and he tells his father, we need to get in on this. We need to design something that can compete in this growing market. And so Walther starts making pocket pistols in 1908.
You have to realize that when he started working on semi-automatic handguns, not all of the things that we know about how they should be loaded, how they should lock, not all of that stuff was known. It was in sort of an exploratory early handgun phase. His first gun, the Model 1, came out in about 1908. But it's the Model 4, or Model 1914, that was really, I think, the most important of the lot. This gun was a blowback, but it didn't put the recoil spring where other guys had put it. This recoil spring actually surrounded the barrel. When you look at a Model 4, you have kind of a squarish back to the gun, and then you have what appears to be a very thick barrel, but it's not. Your recoil spring is actually captured around the barrel, so you don't have to have a separate recoil spring and guide rod assembly below the barrel, because the barrel is the guide rod.
The Model 4 came out in 1910, basically the same year as the Model 3 came out. Model 4 is a wonderful, wonderful little gun. It was basically a variant of the Model 3, although the grip was extended a bit, so that it could hold 8 rounds of .32 caliber or 7.65 millimeter ammunition. And it came out in plenty of time for the Great War. And naturally, the Germans were pressing everything they could into service, and the number 4 was no exception. They were also highly, highly popular with the civilian market, and lots and lots and lots of them were imported to the United States. The way you can tell an American gun or a gun that was brought over here at the time is they say made in Germany on them, because at that point, by law, you had to mark everything made in the country of origin.
The Walther number 4 is one of the foundation guns of the Walther family. Although Carl Walther originally got his start making rifles in Zella-Mehlis in Thuringia, Germany, it was his son Fritz, who grew up in the factory with his brothers working, that came up with the idea of diversifying the product line of Carl Walther into handguns. Because at the turn of the century, you're looking at Luger, Bergmann, Bayard. This whole world of semi-automatic pistols is exploding after the development of the C96. And, with the Mauser being one of their closest competitors, Walther decided to jump into that market.
Despite its odd look, this is a gun that becomes popular enough that it gets adopted by the German military as the Model 1914. It's really a second-line service sidearm. The Germans, once the First World War really starts to get going, the Germans are looking to get their hands on any kind of sidearm that they can get. And the Walther Model 4 is one of those guns. The Germans ask Walther to make 250,000 Model 4s for military service, but nowhere near that amount gets made. It ends up that only about 75,000 end up entering German military service. But it's still a substantial amount, and the guns see use during the First World War.
It's a very interesting looking little pistol. It has kind of early 20th century, late 19th century kind of lines. But it's interesting, it's not a bad looking gun at all. It's certainly no less prepossessing than a lot of other pocket guns of the same period.
So the Model 14, the number 4, a pretty nice little gun actually. They shoot actually very well. The all steel construction and the lightweight cartridge, meaning the 32 ACP, it's very pleasant to shoot. But Fritz had something bigger in mind, and he introduced the first of the PP series pistols in 1928, the Polizeipistolen. And of course, later on you get the Polizeipistolen Kriminal, the PPK, which became legendary. So it's no wonder, with really one of the greatest pocket guns of all time coming into the market and dominating the police and civilian markets at that time, it was inevitable that the PP would replace the Model 4. It's literally the better mousetrap.